Dark Angel is a band I've known about for a while now, but I never heard their music. I heard them in a Cannibal Corpse documentary entitled Centuries of Torment, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that documentary, you should definitely check it out. It talks about the early Tyrant Sin days, all the way to the early Cannibal Corpse days, to the last album that they released up until that point. But the reason why I talk about that is because that's how I heard of Dark Angel. You see, back when Cannibal Corpse was just barely getting started, they opened for Dark Angel in Buffalo, New York, which to me is just really awesome to think that a death metal band was opening up for a really big thrash metal band. Now, like I said, I never really heard their music, however, I heard of them and I did a lot of research on them, and they're honestly, ever since I started listening to them, they've become one of my favorite thrash metal bands of all time. And it's not hard to see why. I mean, Gene Hogan on drums, I mean, come on. He's an amazing, talented guy. I would compare him to Dave Lombardo on how good he is. You know, there's a lot of great other drummers, like Charlie Benante of Anthrax. I don't think I pronounced his last name wrong, but we'll go with it. And also Paul Bostaph. I know a lot of people give Paul Bostaph a lot of crap because of, well, he's not Dave Lombardo. Well, he's still a good drummer. Anyways, I'm off topic, though. It's time to talk about Dark Angel's Darkness Descends. One of my favorite thrash metal albums that I've listened to as of this year. So this album starts off with the title track, Darkness Descends, which is actually about the Dark Judges from the Judge Dredd comic series. I never read Judge Dredd, so I don't know very much about it, but I just thought I'd mention that because, I always like learning about new things, and especially in metal, how they just bring up these topics that I would have never heard before. There's a lot of topics that are actually brought up in this album. For instance, in the 8-minute epic, Black Prophecies, which I would compare to Master of Puppets on how good it is, even though it doesn't have that slow melodic part like Master of Puppets does in the middle, but it's just pure thrash for 8 minutes. It talks about Nostradamus and his prophecies. Now, Nostradamus talked about a lot of different dark prophecies. Now, a lot of people believe that they are coming true, and there are still a ton of skeptical people, but whatever, that doesn't really apply to this, because the song is epic. The title of it is Black Prophecies, so obviously it's a nod to Nostradamus. Another great song on this album is Death is Certain, Life is Not. Life is Not is in parentheses, but whatever, who cares? It is about euthanasia, which to me is another very interesting topic for a metal band to talk about. I don't know why, it just is, Just being a doctor and just having that mindset that maybe I should put this person out of their misery or suffering. How could you bring yourself to do that? I don't know, it's just a very interesting topic to me. Another great song on this album is Perish in Flames, which talks about a nuclear apocalypse. Another great song on this album is Perish in Flames, which actually discusses the nuclear apocalypse, which by the way, this has some awesome lyrics to it. I just love this whole album with its lyrics. And the vocals on this album are just amazing. I mean, how the dude just gets his vocals so high and it just sounds amazing. I forget his name. I think it's Dan. I know his first name is Dan. But that's all I remember. So let me know down in the comments. Or actually, I'll just do some research on Dark Angel some more. So, yay. But one thing I also want to mention is how good the production sounds. This is one of the best sounding thrash albums to ever be released. I'm talking better than Rain and Blood, at least in my opinion. A lot of people say Rain and Blood has the best production sound of any thrash album, which it's got some pretty good production sound, but I love the way, especially the kick drums, sound on Darkness Descends. It literally just sounds like something it just sounds like something evil and bad is going to happen, especially when you hear that double bass kick in. It's just one of the most intense things you'll ever hear in your entire life. Not only is this a tremendous thrash album, but this also shows how the musician... Not only is this an amazing album for thrash, but it also has a lot of awesome musicianship. Musicianship? Can't get that word right. Now, this album is already an amazing thrash album with its Now, this album is an amazing thrash album as it is. The aggression, the vocals, the guitar sounds, the way the whole guitar riff sounds, it just sounds amazing. I already mentioned the drums, and even the bass sounds really good. But, man, if there's one thing I love about this album, is the musicianship. Just the guys know how to write songs, and it's just amazing where they go and take all these awesome solos and awesome riffs to. So now that I'm done talking about the album, I want to talk about something else really quickly. So this album was recommended to me by a commenter. I hope he's a subscriber. That'd be really cool if he was. But he recommended this album to me, and what I'm going to start doing now in these classic album reviews is I'm going to post your comment onto the video. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a shout out, but I think it would just be pretty cool to have you guys recommend albums for me to review, and I'll post your comment in the video. So that's the plan, and hopefully that gets a lot more people recommending albums, because, I mean, I'm happy that this guy recommended Dark Angel and brought me back to Dark Angel, because I was missing out on a lot. So thank you for your comments, sir, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in another video.